exactly.
I just realized something that I can speak on.
What?
The store on Fairfax, we're not doing it.
I heard.
So basically, I'm going to tell the explanation of why for the fans out there who are
Disconnected
concerned
exclusive.
about the meta conversation in regards to this. So we found a spot. I always thought, we were on Melrose paying $5,000 a month. I always thought bro, a store on Fairfax, that would be crazy. But even at that time, the idea of spending $10,000 or $15,000 a month on rent just seemed impossible. Then we leave Melrose. The pandemic hits. We're posted up in this space basically for 2.5 years of just doing content out of here. We're ready to do another store. We started looking around. We're looking at all the different areas. Fairfax was our number one spot that we're thinking of. And for the people at home, realistically, places or streets that we could potentially locate ourselves is pretty much Fairfax, Melrose, and La Brea.
Yeah.
In terms of Hollywood, you could go downtown.
La Brea's coming up.
It is.
And that's what I'm hearing. And we are looking around there a little bit. But, there's not that many stores that are really that popping. And yes, we could go in more like a destination idea. We could have a store in a shopping plaza in the valley. Right. And realistically, we will have a lot of people pulling up just because we have a fan base. But the one thing that was great about being on Melrose is that you get a shitload of walking by traffic from random people. They're coming by. They got 10 Supreme bags. You know exactly why they're there. They look up. They say, oh, no jumper. Wow, I watched this shit on YouTube. We just got so much traffic of people buying shirts and condoms from that. So, and I also feel the thing about No Jumper is that if we're going to do a retail store, then we need to be in the middle of shit. We need to be where the people are already at.
Yeah.
And so
you get mixed in.
We start having the conversation about Fairfax, and the store has some problems about it because there's tables outside on the street for COVID. The restaurants nearby need to be able to use these booths outside. So
that spot transformed in the last year. Is weird. They literally just established that whole I know what you're talking about. It's just a weird part that they just occupy.
Yeah, because
the middle of the street.
Because is anyone scared to go sit in a restaurant at this point? I don't really think so, but it's a good idea for the restaurants because they can have all this extra seating that's taking up the parking spaces out there. But that was a huge thing because it's you have your storefront, you want it to be able to look clean, you want to be able to have people just see it from across the street, but this shit is kind of blocking a lot of it. So that was a big flaw against it. The other big flaw was probably just that it was small. I would want to have. I would like to have a store the size of Sorella or the size of Supreme or the size of Rip and Dip or some shit like that. A big statement ass store.
Yeah.
Not like this one is for people who know about the old 424 is basically that. So it's pretty small in comparison. Pink Dolphin, it's that size.
I see.
And so that was negative. But then there's a huge space in back. And so the fucking landlord starts going through the process with us. We're talking to the lawyers and everything. They're going back and forth. But there's all of these stipulations that they want us to sign on to. And a lot of them, from our perspective, with our lawyers, were really unfair. And the fucking straw that broke the camel's back, per se, was that they wanted, as part of us signing the lease, for there to be no assurance about when we would be able to move in. Within 6 months, we would be able to move in. From my perspective, it's no, I want to be in there the fucking second I sign that contract.
Yeah.
Maybe I would agree to a couple weeks or a month before we get in there, but they refused to budge on that.
That's weird.
So basically, it would be on us to just wait until the current tenant wants to get out of there.
So you're paying their rent while they're there?
You.
It's
No,
what the
you're
hell?
not paying the rent. They would continue to pay the rent, I believe, but basically you wouldn't be able to just get in there.
They kind of leave you in limbo because it's you're not going to want to go investigate to another spot. You're already signed into a contract.
You have all this money up in this contract and shit for 6 months.
But then on top of that, okay, if you drive up and down that street on any given day, 5 or 6 years ago, you never could have convinced me that Fairfax wasn't going to be the shit. Right. Fairfax looks rough these days. None of that shit is open on the block. When you go there middle of the day, there might be 3-4 spots open.
Yeah.
Even Supreme is dead. I've been having some of the guys go by Supreme on drop days to see what the vibe is like and everything. Right. They're telling me that there's barely even a fucking line, on drop days at Supreme. And then we had to cut it out of the OGZ interview, but OGZ broke it to me. Supreme is moving. Supreme's not even going to be on Fairfax anymore. So Supreme has been on Fairfax since, I believe, 92.
Wow.
Damn.
So, in other words, we, as people who live in Los Angeles, really don't know what Fairfax is or what it looks like without Supreme, So when I heard that, combined with the fucking booths outside for the restaurants, combined with the fact that block is fucked. There's still a couple cool stores. You got Rip and Dip.
But that was mainly the you know, the headliner on the fucking street. You know what I mean? With Supreme, that's the reason
true.
most people were just going. They were going to the other spots around.
Exactly.
So.
Everybody on that block is basically there because they want to mooch off of Supreme's cool factor. And I'm not gonna lie, the idea of us being there and knowing that probably fucking 85% of the Supreme fans are at least people who know about No Jumper and would maybe stop by and want to say hi or want to fucking buy a t-shirt or whatever.
Exactly.
That's a big thing for us. Like, we did great on Melrose, and Melrose is way far away from Fairfax, like in that area. You know, it's less than a mile away, but it's like, you know, just that being right there would have been great. They're leaving. I mean, at a certain point, especially with that lease bullshit, I just told them, I'm like, this isn't happening. So we're looking in different areas and kind of trying to figure out another option. But
that makes sense.
Whatever you do, don't go to like some spot like the Row or some shit like that.
Where's the Row?
That's that new American Apparel building on like 7th and Alameda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Would you go to downtown, or you kind of want to like hang out around Hollywood more or less?
I live in the Valley. Hollywood's right there.
Yeah, you're not going to downtown.
I fuck with downtown, but I don't really, you know, I hated being downtown, to be honest.
If you were still on like that one like off Skid Row location, that would be crazy if you just never left and we were doing that shit there right now.
There? Oh my
that was the worst spot. It was an old Mexican bakery.
Did you guys see Desto Dub like unveiled on Instagram today his new spot
in Burbank?
In Burbank.
He's
at West Coast Customs.
At the West, exactly, which is pretty cool.
So shout out to him, because when I saw him saying I want to do a store in Burbank, I was just thinking, like, where? Because Dub has the store downtown and he has the store on Melrose. He gets a lot of foot traffic there. Burbank?
There's no foot traffic in Burbank.
Where the fuck? Yeah, there's a few parts of Burbank that are like kind of, there's people walking around, but I remember one thing that really colored what I think of when I think of retail is I was talking to Brooklyn Dom about Brooklyn Projects, and he said that at one point they tried to do a store in Silver Lake because in his mind it's like Silver Lake is cool. I think it was cooler at the time.
Yeah,
it's a really cool hip place.
Emerging.
I'm cool, but then it's not where the skaters hang out.
Ellie Skate was there at the time.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and then they moved to like East Hollywood area, but they were there for a minute.
He just made the point that like you might personally want to hang out with the cool 28-year-old hipsters who are drinking iced coffee and smoking fucking spliffs in the Silver Lake area, but the reality is if you're in skate, if you're in hip hop, if you're in whatever streetwear, a huge part of your audience is the young fucking kids, the teenagers, early 20s, whatever. You can't really be expecting them to just follow you to this sort of more highbrow area.
No, it's definitely it's weird how all these scenes are like, they might be evaporating in a sense, because I mean you saw it on Venice Beach 2 years ago, right? Where it's like 5-6 years ago, like tourists, all these fucking like henna tattoo shops and like funky t-shirt places are thriving. Now you go there, all of that shit's for lease now.
Dude, I watched this dude called German in Venice on YouTube.
Shout out to German in Venice.
Exactly, and he says that like the police got rid of all the homeless encampments, and he's like all the shop owners, because he's a shop owner there. He's like, we all thought that business would come back. He's like, it's been like 5 months since they cleaned it up. He's like, business is still the same. Like people don't want to come here right now for some reason. And I think it's like maybe COVID is still having an effect on a lot of other countries where they can't travel.
I'm afraid to potentially see that happen on Melrose, because I was shopping there this weekend, right? And I went to this toy store. I leave and like, you know, I have a bag with me, and the guy asked me like, yo, are you sure you want to leave with that bag? And I'm like, of course I just walked out with it. I'm like, what? Like he's like, no, I mean you after you're done shopping, you come by and grab it. I'm like, damn.
Bro, that's how. Have you been keeping up with the local news of Melrose?
Oh no, I went out there, bro, and honestly I did look twice every time I crossed the street and shit like that.
Okay guys, we want to thank you so much for getting us to 100,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. If you want to support, please click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200K. Thank you so much.